Posting online is good. Showing up to volunteer, now that's how we win. I'm Corinne Rankin, chairwoman of the California Republican Party. Go to cagop.org/Prop50 and click Sign Up to Volunteer. We'll connect you with real opportunities, knocking doors, making phone calls, or texting voters. When you volunteer, you do more than talk about change, you create it. Be part of the team that defeats Prop 50.
We're over 1 million strong, and now we get to do something with those 1 million+ voices. I need you to go to LAGOP.org, sign up to be a volunteer, because we have the biggest chance to push back on unconstitutional corruption, not to mention crime and grime, that has been foisted on us by the California Democrat Party for decades. So go to LAGOP.org, sign up to volunteer, definitely sign up to be in a donor club, and be sure to talk to all your friends and family about taking a step to the right. You don't have to be a Republican to vote for one, but it helps to drop the D. So please do those 3 things, and let's see you out there well before November 4th saying no on 50. Why? Because we want people to pick politicians, not the other way around. So good evening, everybody. Again, I'm Roxanne Hogue, and we're very grateful for you all to be here, whether you're a Republican or independent or a Democrat who recently discovered that perhaps the party is not acting in your best interest. We are united in one mission right now, and that is to have Los Angeles County turn out the common sense vote to stop Prop 50. And so we're going to start this evening with a conversation with my friend and amazing longtime KABC radio host, John Phillips. John is here coming to us from your lovely, is it your Palm Springs studio? How do we describe this beautiful nirvana where you live?
Well,
Not
technically,
LA.
it's Rancho Mirage, so I'm right across the street from the Betty Ford Center. So my next move won't be too far.
Well, I'm so grateful that you're here, and I think why I thought you would be super helpful in this conversation is because you really have an understanding of the history of Los Angeles and California politics. So if you could just explain to us, how do we get here and what is here?
In terms of the problems that California faces?
No. We only have, we only have an hour. In terms of Prop 50, why is it I think we've all heard everyone say, oh, it's Texas, but there's a history to how California draws districts. So if you can give us like a 2-minute overview on that, so we understand how we got here in the first place.
Well, California, when we came into the Union, was a state that is very similar to how we are now, in the sense that everyone came from some other place. And the attitude was that we would make a state that was not like the East Coast. The East Coast was run by political machines. It was run by political corruption. And so we very deliberately set up a system that would be unlike that. So that's why we have direct democracy. That's why we have the initiative, the referendum, the recall, all of those things that they don't have in other states. We also used to have cross-filing where you could run as a Republican, a Democrat, all the third-party candidates. Why we have, nonpartisan races for local offices, those sorts of things. And for a long time, we had very clean government in California. And unfortunately, when we became a one-party state, the clean government that we had compared to what was going on in Chicago and New York and other places went with it. And that's an unfortunate situation because up until the mid 1990s, California was among the cleanest government in the entire United States. And now we are where we are, where we're a one party state. And unfortunately, we have a sociopath as our governor, Gavin Newsom. And Gavin Newsom wants to become president. And Gavin Newsom believes that anything he does in California that will benefit his presidential race is something that he should move forward with. Whether or not it benefits the people of California is not a relevant question. And this initiative that you're being asked to vote on in November is a quintessential example of this narcissist looking to curry favor with Democratic primary voters. So if you vote yes on this initiative, you are voting to advance Gavin Newsom's presidential prospects. And Gavin Newsom does not belong in the White
100%,
House.
yeah.
Gavin Newsom, to my eye, belongs in prison for what he has done to the people of California, whether it be shutting down the schools during COVID, shutting down and destroying our small businesses, destroying mental health. Everything that he has done here is a travesty. And right now, he wants to parlay his position as governor of California into becoming president of the United States, which is absurd on its face. But sociopaths are able to do these sorts of things without any regret, without any acknowledgement of their failures, without anything that he's acknowledgement of what he's done here in California. This initiative is entirely about Gavin Newsom and his prospects of becoming president of the United States.
But you and I both know that the argument he makes that sadly lands for some people is, well, Trump, Texas, and temporary, right? Those are his three big
Sure.
T's of sales. So are any of those actually true?
No, this is the classic wife beater argument. You shouldn't have interrupted me, so that's why you got hit. I'm mad at Texas, so I'm going to punish you. This is the argument that he's making. Well, okay, so he's mad at Texas. Take it up with Texas. Don't punish us. But he's punishing us because he's mad at another state, which makes no sense. And by the way, politically, I think it's a loser for Gavin Newsom because politically, one of three things is going to happen. Either we're going to vote it down, in which case he looks like he doesn't have control of his own state. If we don't vote it down, there's a chance that Darrell Issa and Kevin Kiley run for re-election and win because their districts are drawn to benefit Democrats, but they're not sure things. So he goes through all this and they win 3 out of the 5 seats. And then it looks like he got stuffed at the hoop. The other option is that they win all 5 seats and they shut California Republicans out of all the decision making. And then he motivates Indiana, Missouri, Ohio, all of these other states into redrawing their lines. And not only do they lose out on whatever Texas does, but they lose beyond that. So Gavin Newsom politically is going to be a loser here, regardless of what happens, because he's boxed into a corner. And according to reporting from Politico, Gavin Newsom talked the California delegation into moving forward with this because it was supposed to be a bluff. And then he went on all these podcasts and he started participating in this bar talk where he just kept upping the ante and upping the ante and upping the ante. And then he boxed them in and now they're stuck. They're going to lose. If they could rewind the clock and not have anything to do with Prop 50, they would. But because Gavin Newsom is a sociopathic narcissist, they're now stuck.
But how do you really feel, John?
Well, they're stuck with where they are right now. And if successful, they'll punish us in the short term. But I don't think Gavin Newsom is going to be president. I don't think that's in the cards. I don't think he knows it. but I think that he's moving forward as if that's a possibility. And we're going to be collateral damage in that if that happens, which is why it's so imperative that we vote down Prop 50. If we vote down Prop 50, we destroy his chances to being president, and we protect ourselves and allow ourselves to have a voice in the Congress, in the United States government.
Which is even though this isn't really a partisan issue, there are partisan results. And I think I was just talking to attorney Mark Moisier today, who was explaining the Texas thing, because I think all of us, when we agree with you and say, well, this is a terrible idea, they say, but Texas. Now, as I understand from you, like Texas isn't even mentioned anymore, but there's a difference in the way Texas as a state has chosen to do redistricting and how California can do it. And so in our last minute, can you just sort of explain that so people have that argument in their pocket?
Well, the argument that Texas will give is that when COVID happened, the snow globe was shaken. And a lot of people moved to Texas, a lot of people moved to Florida. And so they were horribly undercounted. That is 100% true. They were probably denied 2 to 3 congressional districts. Florida was denied some. Other states were denied more representation. California was overrepresented. And by the way, within the state of California, LA County and the Bay Area were overrepresented. If you were to redraw the lines based on the current population, the Inland Empire would gain seats, the Central Valley would gain seats, Orange County would gain seats, LA would lose seats, the Bay Area would lose seats, and you would have a dramatically different makeup of the state legislature, which is one of the reasons why that's being left off the table. So what Gavin Newsom is doing is saying, hey, we benefited because of when the date was on the calendar, and therefore don't redraw the lines to reflect the accurate numbers, because the numbers in the Constitution are what they are. But those numbers don't reflect reality. And in Texas, what the argument they're making is our numbers reflect reality. Gavin Newsom's numbers reflect a pre-COVID reality that doesn't exist anymore. And Gavin Newsom says it doesn't matter. The date is what the date is. And therefore, we should benefit from, something that was written into a document that doesn't reflect the reality, and I don't have to defend reality. It just, the date is what it is.
Great, thank you. I appreciate you so much. It does seem like a totally corrupt boondoggle, probably because it is a totally corrupt boondoggle. And the numbers show that if people understand what's happening, they're mostly against it. But we even have some of our own Republican voters who, because of wording, are confused and say, oh, I don't like this, so maybe I should vote yes.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Rob Bonta is the one that writes the title and summary, and Rob Bonta is arguably one of the most corrupt politicians in the state of California. Do not trust anything that comes out of that guy's mouth. Do not trust anything that comes out of that guy's office. That guy is one of the hardest partisans that exists in the state of California. And beyond that, before he became Attorney General, he was a local politician in Oakland. And there is a scandal right now that has the former mayor of Oakland, Chow, on trial. And part of that trial is that her chief benefactors, the Dong family, they're on trial too. And they were also the chief benefactors of Rob Bonta and his political career. So Rob Bonta, to me, is basically a corrupt politician who is continuing his local corrupt politics at the statewide level. And all of us are experiencing that with what's going on with the title and summary of these initiatives.
Well, yeah, forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown. We know that we live in an incredibly corrupt place, but we do have hope because Prop 36 was passed by 70% of the people. And, here in LA, even we elected Nathan Hochman with those numbers. So as long as we can reach our voters and we can let them know that it's a no, I think we're going to be in good shape. So I thank you so much for joining us. I know you have stuff to do, so I can't make you stay around, but thank you again, John. And we'll see you and Susan Shelley and Mike Netter and myself tomorrow at Pineapple Hill, which is the 19th. And we will be working on yet another terrible scheme that the Democrats have, which is to destroy Prop 13.
And thank you all for having me, and keep fighting.
Thank you so much. I want to bring up next our friend Aiden Chow. He is the chairman of the Taxpayers, a Taxpayers Association. I can't thank him enough for joining us. He's on the East Coast, so it's a little bit late. Aiden, if I can find you, I would just like him to speak up about the number of coalitions that we have. We have to understand that politics is a team sport. And while we all may have different top issues that animate us, right now we have a chance as a county to turn out the vote. There's over 1 million registered Republicans in LA County. And if we can turn out at the 70% level, which is what we need to approach sort of presidential level turnout, we can do this. And we're not doing it alone. That's the good news. We have the ability to really make a difference here. So Aiden Chow, if you can just take it away and explain who's fighting with us on this.
Great. Well, thank you, Roxanne. And I'm sure I know many of you via my position as chair of LA County Taxpayers Association, but the hat that I'm wearing for Prop 50 right now is as the LA County director for Kevin McCarthy's Stop Sacramento Power Grab committee, which is one of the many primarily formed committees that are being raised by both the yes and no side to work on this campaign. That's one of the keys to this extremely, extremely expensive and large battle is the committees that are put together and the coalitions that are put in place on both sides. On the Democratic side, we're going to see money mobilized by the unions, money mobilized by Hollywood, money mobilized by the DCCC, and money mobilized by Newsom. On our side, we're going to see money mobilized by McCarthy's group, which is the group that I'm working for, money organized by Charlie Munger Jr., which is Charlie Munger, the investor's son, and one of the large benefactors to the initial Prop 20 campaign and Prop 12, I believe, that brought this independent redistricting committee to existence. And he's very dead set on keeping it that way. So you've got a center left and a center right coalition that are being formed to fight against Prop 50. And right now, we as conservatives, we as Republicans are working on the center right committee. And what we're doing, what my job is every day is to put together a coalition of influences, elected officials, coalition builders, organizations, small businesses, and business organizations together. And right now, our coalition is very glad and very excited to announce that we're sitting at over 300 elected officials, over 50 small businesses, over 100 chambers of commerces, and many other regional organizations, such as the Republican parties of every county, the Young Republicans, College Republicans, and many other organizations that are very supportive of the no side. So what we need from LAGOP, from Roxanne, and our friends on this call is really, this election is being painted as Newsom, California versus Trump. The bastion of liberalism and of progressivism and of, good society versus the authoritarian dictator that's Trump. That's what Newsom's trying to paint this election as, right? This is one of the most polarizing times in American history. Right now, what we're seeing is that Newsom wants to take full advantage of that so he can score political points on his presidential candidacy board. And our job is to make sure that we don't allow him to nationalize this election. And what do I mean by that? We need to make sure that the most grassroots, the most local of elements are at play, which is our local elected officials. And that's my job on this campaign, is to organize those people. And our ask for all of you on this call is that Republicans need to talk to Republicans so we can increase our turnout to that 50, 60, 70% number that would get us to win this race. We need the Republican vote to be at least 35 to 40%, 37 to 40% of the vote in LA County. That's what it takes to win a statewide election. It's a very important figure.
That we have the raw vote totals to do that, as
We
long
do.
as people do a couple things. One is, and I know we don't love it, but just talk for a second about how important it is to bank those votes. The ballots are going to drop October 6th.
Look, as long as Carl DeMaio hasn't passed our lovely voter ID initiative, the Democrats are going to continue doing what they do best, which is bank those votes early. And we need to respond with equal, if not more powerful, voter mobilization before November 5th or whatever the election day is. So what we need to do is make sure that we reach our voters early, organize within all of your Republican clubs and all of your Republican organizations the people that would be willing to contact their friends, neighbors, people on their in their neighborhood, organize these meetings to get people to vote early, and then make sure that we have a turnout driving mechanism, which I'm sure Roxanne is going to go into. But right now, we need to make sure that we do what I see in the chat, what Charlie Kirk and Turning Point Action did, which is make sure that people vote in October, make sure that people vote the moment ballots drop. So we as a committee, we as a party, don't need to go and chase after those votes and spend the money that we could spend on TV convincing non-Republicans, the people that we actually need to get to vote for this, to vote. And right now, it's extremely important that we get those Republicans committed now. And that's an extremely tough ask. Obviously, we launched this campaign with only 3 months, to run it all. And we're looking at 100 million on each side in total. But the main thing that we need to do is get those votes in early. And what we as a committee need you as Republican influencers to do is contact all those people, knock on doors, walk, which Patrick will get into in 1 minute, and reach out to all of the people who are registered as high propensity Republicans, and make sure every single one of them turns out, because it's a turnout game. It's not a raw vote total game. Right now, it's all about we get more of our voters out than they do.
Thank you so much, Aiden, and I appreciate it. I especially appreciate given the time on the East Coast. And we're going to ask Patrick to step up and talk to us. I know, by the way, besides the coalitions you're working with, I know Chad Schitzker is here with Faith and Freedom.
Yeah, Chad's a good friend of mine, great guy.
Yeah, anybody that is associated with the church, it's time. When people say you may not be interested in politics, tell them politics is interested in you. And so we need to get every group out there. So Patrick, thank you again. Aiden, I'll let you go.
Thank you, Roxanne.
You're welcome. We'll see you soon. So if we can
see you soon.
All right, bye. If we can get Patrick to
awesome.
to jump on.
I'm
there
here.
You go.
Yes. First of all, thank you for getting John Phillips on here and giving his take on what's going on here in California and why we're in here in this problem. So he put it together nicely, and I like that. So this should be something that we use when we are knocking on doors. And let's see, I think with my campaign for the 40th Assembly, we knocked on in the district. we knocked on over 140,000 doors. And
Patrick, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. I forgot to say, this is Patrick Gipson, former assembly candidate, but more importantly, the first vice chair of the Los Angeles County Republican Party. Okay, now you can tell everybody how to knock doors.
Thank you, Roxanne. Thank you. But what I was talking about knocking on doors, it is nothing, there's no rocket science behind it. It's all common sense. And it's trying to make sure that when we do talk to these people, when they open their door, there's little things that we can do and not do to make them feel more comfortable, especially with crime being what it is now. I know a little bit about it from being 24 years in the sheriff's department. You need to, when you knock on that door, you need to take a few steps back because you can't be in their face and they're going to be afraid because people knocking on my door, there's a lot of elderly people that you'll be knocking on their doors, young people, women with, little babies. Take that few steps back, give them that little space, and then start talking with them. Because when you start talking with them, you can start convincing them why, as a Republican, they need to start voting because we're knocking on Republican doors. So that means if you end up, nobody answers that door, then you do not mark on there. You may have said you knocked on that door, but what we need to do is make sure that we actually have a conversation with them. And that was very effective in the 40th and what we did. Knocking on doors every Saturday, any chance we had. And people want you there. They want to see that you are knocking on their door, and they're going to be
And
so
Patrick,
happy
how
when
hard
they
is
see
it?
you.
How hard is it to organize what we know as a walk day? Hi, Nune, I can see you. How hard is it to organize a walk day? Does this take a lot of money or effort? What can you tell everybody here? What do they need in order to put together? And by the way, we have 5 weekends or so that we can all do this. And Brandon Harriman's coming up from the CAGOP to sort of explain how it happens. But what does it take to put together a walk day?
Well, I'm going to let the one of the professionals in my campaign, Miss Nune Gipson, take care of that one. She's the organized person that you never want to mess with. So here she is.
All right, you got 90 seconds, Nune. Take it away.
Thank you. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Nune Gipson. So basically, Roxanne's question is, what does it take? It doesn't really take much. If you don't have a location, an office, or anywhere to use, you guys can simply find a park that's close to everyone. Go grab a dozen of donuts or a dozen of bagels, bring coffee. Everybody loves that. Bring water and gather together, meet up there and pass out all the information. Put them in twos. Everybody needs to walk in twos, especially younger kids or women. It's better. So just maybe, couple them up, a man and a woman or whatever, and then just deploy everybody out. All you have to do is give them their sheets and the new program that I guess LAGOP is going to be using. So you just distribute the sheets and give them some time and tell them this is where we're going to do, how many hours you guys have, how many doors you're going to be knocking, and then find that place to go back again to meet up. And if you guys want to have a lunch together, talk about it and all that stuff, it's really simple. If you have an office that you can use to deploy people from there, it would be better, because if it's a rainy day, then it's better if you have utilized something that you can have in your neighborhoods. You guys can walk in your neighborhoods as well. In your churches, it was brought up again. We did the ballot harvesting in our churches. This is the same idea. You guys could also talk to your pastors, explain to them why it's important, and you can, maybe ask for a day to put a table there and talk to people and introduce them and educate people, because people need to be educated and not confused on this issue.
Especially when
Thank
it's
you
no
so
and
much.
yes. We are
Yes. So
proposition
thank
no.
you so much.
50 no.
We're gonna bring up. I appreciate you. It's basically anybody can do it. If you're a Republican Women's Federated, or you're just there, someone may be on the call right now who put together a vigil for Charlie Kirk last week in Palos Verdes with 1 day's notice. 1,000 people were there. You have more power than you think you do. Everyone has the ability, even to, 50 people for Prop 50. And this, as John Phillips said, it will be a resounding rejection of our one-party rule. I'm going to bring up our last possible speaker, who is Brandon Harriman, who is our person on loan from the California Republican Party. And Brandon is going to be, you're going to discover that the walk books of old, where people got physical pieces of paper and had to walk around, those are not happening. We have a new program and a new way of doing it, but it does all come down to one thing. It's that people trust other people. And so that's why we're going to be not, having huge banners on overpasses or honking horns as we drive through neighborhoods, or even putting flyers in grocery store parking lots. This is a one-to-one relationship turnout machine. We have to talk to people who we know who are going to vote for us. As Carl DeMaio says, and we were talking about all the dates he's doing for his voter ID thing. As Carl DeMaio says, you want to be turnout ninjas. You want to be a little quiet about how we're getting people out. So Brandon, I know you're in here. I don't have my glasses on, so if you could just start talking, then I can find you. That would be easier.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Roxanne, so much for your energy and inviting me tonight to tonight's call. Starting at convention, my first week on the job, Roxanne found me. We had to sit down and talked about how important No on Prop 50 was to LA County. So today I'll go over a brief presentation describing some different ways to get involved on this campaign, as well as briefly go over our new app we'll be using moving forward into the 2026 cycle, which is Votive. So I am here, I just started as the political director with the California Republican Party, specifically to help out with No on Proposition 50. I'm here to serve as a resource to all Republicans and Republican organizations throughout the state to ensure you have the tools necessary to help us defeat Proposition 50 on Election Day on November 4th. So a few things to note. Aiden did a great job at really highlighting the different camps and the different moving pieces in this campaign. Being members of Republican organizations and volunteers, we are those that are really best positioned to carry the more red meat, more conservative message to our Republican base to ensure they show up on November 4th. So it is crucial that California Republican Party and our central committees really drive out the vote amongst our low to mid propensity Republican voters. Turnout for special elections is historically much lower than generals. If we do not show these voters what's at stake and what will change with their everyday lives if Prop 50 passes, they will not get mobilized. So to do that, we need to keep a very unified message here, and that message is simple. If Proposition 50 passes, we lose at least 5 Republican House seats in California, which will lead to losing the House majority, and we all know what that entails. It entails another impeachment. It entails the political circus of 2018, 2019. So these are things we really need to get across to our voters at the door. And it's important that we stay, very uniform with our messaging. We're going to have a very short runway here, very little touches with our voters. So every touch, we need to keep that uniform, simple message that can really stick with them and encourage them to vote in the November 4th general election. As we highlighted, we will be using a new data app moving forward, which will be Votive. Votive will help us canvas and phone bank with these low, mid, and even high propensity Republicans in certain cases. What's great about Votive is there is no need anymore to create individual volunteer accounts if you're out in the field canvassing. All you need is to let me know what area you want to cut. It can be based on geographical bounds such as city council districts, cities, supervisorial districts, assembly districts, senate districts, and so on. We'll go over some slides about how to request those lists in just a few. We'll also be offering Votive trainings on a rolling basis up until Election Day. We'll go over how to sign up for those trainings in just a moment as well. So the state party is deploying some literature. It's a contrast piece, and it really touches on that House majority message. Currently, with the Republican administration and a Republican House majority, we are on the roadmap to recovery, which includes cutting taxes for working families and seniors, securing our border, and expanding workforce training and vocational programs. All these great initiatives only passed the House by 4 votes, and Republicans in California made the difference. Now Gavin Newsom and his radical Democrats have put forward Prop 50 to erase 5 seats and send us on the roadmap to ruin with the Democrat House majority. That includes raising taxes and crushing families and seniors, opening our borders to drug cartels and human traffickers, and forcing men into women's and girls' sports. As you'll notice, this is a much more partisan, much more red meat message. So it's important that we're using this literature in a very targeted manner. That's why we'll be crafting universes that will really help us make sure we're touching those Republican-based voters that we need to drive out to be successful in this election. Going into some important dates for the program, this last week and a half, we've really been priming the pump, getting as many volunteers, the tools needed to get activated in this campaign. We're doing briefings like these, delivering materials, including yard signs and literature, large-scale trainings, which we'll get to in a second, and then most importantly, grassroots mobilization. It's important that we get out as often as possible here. It's not too early to start. We've had groups already in the field as early as last week. We're really encouraging all county parties to put together GOTV programs. We're here to help put those programs together, put together graphics, and make sure you have the surrogates needed to really drive in a successful walk day. October 6th, less than a month away now, all ballots will be mailed to registered voters across the state of California. On October 7th, ballot drop box locations will begin to open. And October 20th will be the last day to register as a non-conditional or non-provisional voter in this election. Heading into October 25th, VCA counties will begin to open early in-person vote centers. Of course, November 4th will be our Proposition 50 special election. And November 12th is the last day that ballots postmarked on or before Election Day will be accepted by county ROV offices. So the best way to get activated is to go ahead to CAGOP /prop 50-volunteer and go ahead and look at the training session. If you go ahead and sign up for a training session, we'll be in touch with a Zoom link. We'll send out multiple reminders to make sure you do not miss it. But these trainings are very quick. We know everyone's time is very important, so they typically last about 30 to 45 minutes. Great time to really get interactive with the system, start testing out the features before you get in the field.
And the other great thing is that because Los Angeles is the largest Republican County Central Committee in the country, we also have information and a sign up that we will, like if you guys plan a walk with your, LA, whatever group you have, RWF, whatever, we're sharing that information back and forth with CAGOP. Remember, the California Republican Party and the Los Angeles County Republican Party are like, McDonald's Corporation and the McDonald's restaurants. Like we're all the same brand. We're all on the same team.
And we'll all be working together out of the LAGOP votive portal. So very excited to work collaboratively with the team on this. If you do want to get started, you can either go ahead and sign up on the votive training link, or if you feel you're ready to get out in the field today, please reach out to me via email. My email is bherreman@cagop.org. Let me know which area you're looking to walk in, what kind of list you'd like to see, and we'll go ahead and process that request for you in under 24 hours so you can go ahead and get the tools necessary to be successful in this election. All right, that was the last slide I did have for today, though. Any questions on the new votive program, how to get activated in this campaign or messaging in this campaign?
Well, I think, Brandon, if you and I could just talk, because we're recording this for other groups as well. So I think if we can just talk a little bit about messaging, because I think it is one of the things that's most important. If you can unshare the screen for a second, we can have a conversation. What's great is that there are many different ways to talk to people about this. And the thing that's unique about LA County, of course, is how many mixed households we have, how many areas we don't, it doesn't feel that red. In the North County, it is. And then there are those of us who live, as I call it, sort of behind the blue curtain. So the state party's messaging about there's a road to recovery and a road to ruin, very spot on. We're also, we have our, we're going to put together a lot of digital assets that we will have out of LA, because LA is culturally a little bit more nimble and entertainment oriented than the rest of the state. So we're going to have memes and things that people can share. Some of you have seen already on the invitation for this. our graphic of a politician, puppeteer with marionette, don't let Sacramento pull our strings. We'll also, as we get closer to Halloween, we'll talk about the scary Halloween sort of features of it, depending on the age of the people that you're speaking to, because it's a very confusing thing, right? What is Prop 50? What? I don't understand. We can, compare it to New Coke. Nobody wanted that, nobody needed that, and nobody liked that either. That's exactly what Prop 50 is. So when I think the lesson, and we don't want to forget, and we'd be remiss in not talking about Charlie Kirk on this very briefly. I think the real lesson and gift that Charlie had, and that Charlie should remind us all, is the power of listening. When you listen to the people you're talking to, then you can tailor your message to them. Because someone who doesn't respond to caring about national politics, right? Because to be fair, there's 17 congressional districts in LA County, and none of them are going to really change. It's not going to change our lack of representation, right? We have Congressman J.O. Bernalty, his left ankle, but without our friends, Kevin Kiley and Daryl Issa and other people, we'd be sunk. So you have to listen to the people you're talking to and make sure that you're addressing their concerns. And I think that's important to know, that we can be very nimble. And again, Brandon's going to work with us. How votive works is there's nested stuff. So the LAGOP stuff, which, by the way, I have boxes of literature for the California GOP roadmap message and for our marionette message, and we'll have both at Pineapple Hill tomorrow, Friday the 19th. If you've put together a walk or you have a group, you can come talk to us about getting that. We have, yard signs for a small donation as well. And so just know that whichever way you decide to put it together, the most important thing we can do is turn out Los Angeles. And we are arm in arm with the state party, with with every group that says no on 50, they're part of the team. There's no limit to what you can do if you don't care who gets the credit. It is, so I just see a couple questions. We are no longer using Campaign Sidekick. Brandon, I know you have to leave, but can you just explain to people, I know you had a graphic that maybe showed how much easier Votive is, the new platform that we're using up and down the party, and it's really much more instinctual and doesn't require you to download an app. And when he says walkbooks, he doesn't mean a physical piece of paper. It's a territory that's drawn. All the assembly districts, for example, can have an assembly district sized walkbook, because not only do we want people to do walks on the weekends, we would really like you to then feel responsible for wow, I only walked 20 houses, but if I go after work every day to 5 neighbors, in 10 days, I'll get everybody. So Brandon, if you could just come back and explain a little bit more about Votive so people can sort of get a picture in their mind's eye. Oh,
Yeah,
look,
of course. Let me go ahead and start
not
this.
mind's eye. He has actually a picture.
So there will be both phone banking and canvassing through Votive. I'd say canvassing is definitely the more user-friendly feature here. So there is no more need to create individual walk accounts or create tailored walk lists to each of those accounts. Like I said earlier, we're able to create these lists off geographical bounds. It could be a different legislative district, a local district. Whenever you are able to relay those bounds to either Roxanne, Melissa, or myself, we can make sure that we get those voter groups created for you within the Votive platform on LAGOP, and make sure that the correct universe and script is also assigned to those. Once we do get a walkbook cut for you, it's going to be very easy to actually go ahead and access that. So there'll be a URL associated with the walk list, whatever district it might be. And there's also an ability to download a QR code. The QR codes are very handy if you're doing a canvassing day with over 10 or 15 walkers. You can go ahead and print out this QR code, have your walker scan right into it. Like I said, no account needed. They go ahead and scan into this, make sure their location preferences are set to share, and then go ahead and start walking right then and there. So this is very, intuitive, very user-friendly, and helps clean up a lot of the back-end work that can sometimes, slow down these walk days a bit. The call portal is extremely similar to a campaign sidekick. We have both manual dialers on there. We have predictive dialers, power dialers. We can target cell phones, landlines, also answer survey questions on those calls. The important thing to note with a call system is there is a little more back-end work needed to set it up. If you do want to get involved in the call system, please go ahead and reach out to LAGOP or me directly just to let us know that you want to be a part of the system. We'll go ahead and add your call account to the LAGOP portal or the CAGOP portal. That way we can make sure you have the access to the platform and can start making those calls. But yeah, that's basically the system here. It's a new system for us. It's been great these first couple weekends out in the fields, and I think it's very promising and should really help us get in touch with more voters than ever.
Thank you so much. And yes, the purpose of this call, everyone, just so you understand, is an overview. So we all know that we are all working together, and we all get to do something that we don't often get to do in LA, which is have each of our votes matter. I live in a district that is 13% Republican. It is going to be a while before I get to vote for a winning, say, state assembly person. I even ran for that race. So I understand how daunting it is. But just like I got to vote for the winning team on Prop 36, I'm going to get to vote for the winning team on Prop 50, and that's no on Prop 50. And so just really think about what ways you can get together with other people and have your group. I know Brandon mentioned Melissa. She's talked to me. She's our treasurer at LAGOP. All of us on the board at LAGOP, by the way, are available at lagop.org. There's a group of friends who are of a certain age who they get together, they have coffee in the morning, and then they walk different neighborhoods, just spreading the word, because people in LA need to know, Republicans in LA need to know that they are not alone. If Chad Schitzker is still here, I just want to talk to him about if he can just cover for 2 seconds, and thank you, Brandon, again, a very dirty word with our group. He's part of the Faith and Freedom Coalition, but there's something that engenders it's going to be a little bit of a boo hiss. But if Chad, if you can speak up for 2 minutes about the dirty word known as ballot harvesting, that would be super helpful. Let's see if he's here. If anybody can find him. I have to tell you guys the joy of being nearsighted and farsighted and trying to see who's on the Zoom.
He needs to unmute.
He's ready to go.
Okay, there we go.
He's unmuted, but for some reason we still can't hear him. He's getting it there. There we go.
Okay, we're gonna get there. Chad is he is done. He works in politics professionally, and he also does a lot with churches and with the faith community. And I think that is so important to turn out. I mean, part of what Ambassador Rick Grinnell, whose birthday is today, is doing is really trying to get people who've taken themselves out of the conversation to get back in. That's what Fix California is about. That's what we all should be about, by the way, especially every time that the left does something else horrible. I tell people, please take a step to the right. You don't have to be a Republican to vote for one, but for the love of God, unregister as a Democrat. They don't deserve the attention and the numbers that they have.
I am back now. Can you hear me?
Yes, there we go.
Sorry about that. I unplugged my my microphone. I want to say thank you, Roxanne, for inviting me on the call. You guys mentioned I worked in politics. I actually happen to be a part owner of Votif, and so I had a great opportunity to meet the guys who started that program years ago, and I love what we've been able to do to develop it today. For those of you that have not used it on the call, it is unlike anything you've done before, and I could not speak higher of it or the people who built it for us. That being said, we run a nonprofit here called the Faith and Freedom Coalition of California, where we do a variety of Christian outreach things, but we predominantly just educate pastors and get them involved in the political process. So we ask churches to take one of our large we can't call them ballot boxes. They are a secure storage device. I'm sorry, I almost said the wrong word. And we encourage churches to hold a 1-day ballot. Bring everyone in. Bring your ballot. Drop it in the drop box, and your pastor will pray over the election, over elected officials, and for God's will in the United States. We're not talking Republican or Democrat. We're not talking this or that. I am simply asking churches to get their congregants to get involved. Now, those of us on the call that are political would know that most churches align. About 81% of evangelical churches, their congregants consider themselves conservatives, and so that is a market that if we were fishing, it's a rich fishing spot. We're going to keep fishing that field. But the sad part is that Christians don't vote. And less than half of them in any given election will vote. So if you look at your church of say 100 people, 30% of them are not registered to vote, and of those who are registered to vote, the 70, on average, only about 49.5% of them will cast a ballot. And this is a special election. These elections matter more than anything else. So it's really important to get your churches involved. If you have any churches who might be interested in doing this program, we offer for free at no expense. It's literally out of my pocket. I will deliver to them a handcrafted, beautiful oak wooden box. Looks like a podium. I will walk with them on how to do it. And I've got all the materials and voter registration forms and stuff inside it. And we'd love to expand the over 100 churches that do that with us today. So we've helped tens of thousands of Christians to cast their ballots. And in this type of election, you're going to see some excellent stuff. And if you guys go on our website, ffccca.org, you'll see that the Babylon Bee actually did our video. So if you're interested in seeing what the Babylon Bee had to say about it, we're really connected. They're here in Riverside County. So feel free to jump online, check out what we do, and refer a church if you have a chance. And I will personally deliver to them.
Thank you so much, Chad. I want to be respectful of everybody's time and just remind everybody of a couple things. One is LA County, yes, is the largest Republican Central Committee in the country. We cover 4,600 square miles, over 10 million people. And so this is not something that any one person or even the 7 people on the board or even the 200 elected Central Committee members can do. We are all having to be in this together, and not in that terrible COVID lockdown way, but in the we are patriotic Americans and we have work to do way. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that Paul Mitchell, not the hair guy, but the person who masterminded these terrible, even worse gerrymandered maps. Paul Mitchell was caught on a hot mic this weekend saying that their polling is showing them at 52% yes right now, because they framed it, of course, as this battle with the president of the United States, who is not running for re-election, but that's what they think. Now, just in the political world, a good field program is worth about 3 points. Well, guess what? Those 3 points are in LA County. LA County, when people, kvetch and moan about how come things aren't happening in LA has been the ATM for every elected official throughout the rest of the country for far too long, and ignored that we also need to turn out our voters and do our work. And so we can show California and we can show the world in between October 6th and November 4th that we matter. and that California is worth fighting for and LA is worth fighting for. So I thank you all for your time. If you are here watching this on a recording, whether you're watching it now or then, please go to lagop.org so we can find you. And again, if you have a group, an RWF, a CRA, a car fanciers group, if you shoot with other people, if you if you're a knitter, if you're one of the conservative knitting groups out there, if you're just you and your family, and you know your family's a big one, please let us know how we can help, but we can't help you if we can't find you. So info at lagop.org, lagop.org is the website. We're happy to, as Claudia said, plug in events for people. We also work with my friend Carl DeMaio, who couldn't be on this call today, the Save Prop 13 that Susan Shelley is doing, and the work to get voter ID. Carl is going to be doing, by the way, he's doing a swing through LA County. You'll find it on his website, but the YRs, Young Republicans, are doing a walk day on October 11th. That'll be on our calendar. And then Carl is going to be in Santa Clarita on the 17th, Pasadena on the 26th, Palmdale on the 28th, South Oaks on the 1st. We are all going to work our butts off together to say no on Prop 50. I'm just going to ask Justin before we leave to just put up the graphic. So, I don't know if Justin has it. I'm terribly sorry about that. If you follow Los Angeles County Republican Party on Twitter, Facebook, on Instagram, social media, or me, Roxanne Hogue, or any of our board members, you'll notice that we've done a lot of earned media about there being Republicans here and about this. And so please follow those accounts, and I hope to see you at Pineapple Hill. And thank you, and good night, everybody.